Hey, welcome back to day 3. This is going to be very exciting. If you haven't already watched day 1 and day 2, I suggest you go ahead and watch those because this training continues to build. And in tomorrow's live training, when you're on our webinar, you're going to see some very exciting things as we take this even further. And I show you the entire track that I follow for optimizing a GMB from start to finish. And we're going to see if I can do it in less than 30 minutes, setting up an entire campaign. So you want to be there for that. Now, in an earlier video, we talked about image sharing links and how those are really powerful. Now, I said that I would show you how I actually optimize images, what's important, how to do those properly. So in this video, I'm going to show you what's involved there. So what I suggest that you do is optimize your images right away at the very beginning of your campaign. See, what a lot of people do is they do a bunch of other things first. They like set their listing up and they work on their website. And then it's like weeks later or months later that they then say, you know what? I probably should optimize my images and put those on my GMB. So then they go take their images and they optimize them and they completely miss the most important part of this. Okay, so I used to do this too, but I do it differently now. I optimize my images at the very beginning of my project. So it's one of the very first things that I do because those images can now be used everywhere. They can be used not just on image sharing sites, but they can be used on all of your citations, location and niche specific, and master citations. They can also be used on your site itself, okay? And any chance you can even put them on social profiles like your Facebook, Twitter, etc. You want to use these things everywhere you can because it helps to show Google what your site is about, what your listing is about, and where it's located at, all right, through those niche and location relevant signals. So that being said, how do I actually optimize these images? Well, there's a few ways you can do them. You can manually optimize them. You can use a tool, okay, or you can have somebody else do them for you. And this is really important to get right because they're going to be used throughout your whole project and many different sites that you're getting those links from. So what I suggest you do is get 20 images. If you don't have 20 images, like if there's just not 20 images there, or you really don't have 20 great keywords to use, you can use less, all right? But 20 really is the number that you want to shoot for, okay? 20 gives you a nice variation of a number of keywords, okay? So what's important here is getting a list of keywords. Now, I'm not going to cover in this video how to go get your keyword list. You should already know your keywords by this point. But what you're going to do is you're going to take those keywords and you're going to name each image with your keyword and with your location. So each image should have a different name to it. So every image is going to have a unique file name. So that's really the first part of it. Is like you can see, for instance, this image right here that we're looking at, Accident Attorney Glendale AZ. That is a keyword, all right? So I want you to think of it as a root keyword and a location. So next one, accident law, Glendale AZ, all right? Accident lawyers, and then we append that with Glendale AZ, okay? So you're always combining the keyword with the location for your file name, all right? Now, when you go into that listing, what you're gonna do is, now again, I'm showing you this in manual way. In a moment, I'm gonna explain to you how you can do it very fast and don't have to do all this stuff, right? But let's just look into the file name so I can explain to you what this what this all entails, like what is inside of this image. The file name itself needs to have the keyword, needs to have the location. Same thing with the title of the image, same thing with the subject. And you can go into these images manually and do this. It just takes a lot of time, all right? And then the next thing is in the comments of the image. This is where your business's name, address, and phone number goes, okay? And you want to do that across every single image, right? Helps to show Google where this thing is at, what business they can associate it with. Okay, in this author field here, that's where you're actually going to have the website URL. If there's multiple locations in the site, then that's going to be the location that you're working on. So your location landing page, all right? And finally, there's going to be a section of the image called GPS coordinates, latitude and longitude. Now, it might look kind of funny here, right? They're all broken up into little blocks. You can see that This doesn't really look like normal latitude and longitude. It's broken up into these little blocks, but that is the standardized format for optimizing your latitude and longitude. And there are some tools online where you can plug an image in and it can give you those coordinates or add those coordinates to your file. So as I mentioned before, there is a way to do these manually, meaning literally going into every single image, right-clicking, renaming the file, going into the properties of the image here, changing out your title, your subject, your comments, your authors. That's not really necessary to do. Some of you may have seen some of my earlier videos where I've used a tool called Image Geotagger to go ahead and optimize these images. And while that is still very valid and works really great for getting your images done, you still have to load all of that information in and click apply and put the keywords in and do all that. So it still does take several minutes in order to get those images optimized. And I'm going to tell you this, you want to be on tomorrow's webinar, because when you're on tomorrow's webinar, I'm going to advise that you take Image Geotagger or any other tool like that optimizes your images en masse, and you completely throw it in the trash. Okay, you're going to throw that in the trash because I'm going to show you a way where you can optimize all of your images in less than a minute. Okay, how cool is that? That's on tomorrow's webinar. So go ahead, get signed up for tomorrow's webinar, and then move on to the next video, and I will see you tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. All right, so you're going to really like this tip. It is something that isn't necessarily boosting your rankings all by itself, but it is something very foundational that you want to have in place in order to keep the rankings that you get when you follow this track. And that is compiling and keeping track of your existing backlinks, all right? So there's a formula that I use for this, compiling existing backlinks. And basically, once you know the domain that you're going to be using, which would be your site, what you're going to do is get all the backlinks that already exist for that site and then keep track of them. Okay, now when I say keep track of them, what do I mean by that? Well, let me tell you this. I don't know if you're like me, but I used to use a ton of spreadsheets for everything. Okay, so every time I would like order links or build something, I just save it to an Excel sheet or like a Google sheet. And what happens is over the course of a project, you end up with tons and tons of these sheets, right? You got a sheet for the citations from this batch. You got a sheet for the social profiles from this batch. And before you know it, you can't even find the freaking sheet for the links that you're looking for on your computer. So you're like having to always hunt to find the logins for something or to find what you built. Well, what did I do when? And so it's just very disorganized. Now, you may be thinking, okay, Matt, but what does that matter? The link's already been built. Who cares? Well, here's the key. When you do not have one organized central place where all of your links reside, you have no way of keeping track of what links are still live, which ones are indexed, what maybe got deleted, and if you're going to be building new links, you don't know if that link has already been built to the site before. And especially if you're talking a client site, a lot of times you inherit junk links and some good links inside of a website. A client might actually have a niche relevant link or a location relevant link. Doesn't make sense for you to go out and then pay to build that or buy that link when it's already been built 5 years ago. Maybe it wasn't built by you, but it's just lurking out there, okay? And it could already be done and it doesn't need to be done anymore. So by having one centralized spot where you keep all your links, you not only avoid duplicates, but you need to do this in a way where you can have those links continually checked. So it's more important not how many links you have, but are those links actually supporting your site? You could have something that's built that's not even indexed and therefore isn't even helping your rankings. So I advise you really want to look at the health of your links. When I say health of your links, this comes down to any link that's been built. Doesn't matter if it was free or if it was paid for, but especially links that you're either paying on like a rental basis or for like a PBN kind of link, if you're using those are the most important, because if you're continually, even if it's every year or every month, or you paid for something and they guaranteed that it should be up for 3 months or a year or lifetime or whatever it is, you've paid for links that should be up and you're not tracking whether that link is still healthy, like that the site hasn't been like de-indexed or that link hasn't been deleted or dropped, then you could potentially be wasting your money on links that you're not getting credit for, all right? And using that central database of links to then determine what you should be building next is really the next level behind it. Meaning if you can keep track that you've already built the location-specific links, and these are the 20 location-specific links that you've already built, then guess what? When it comes time for you going ahead and building the next batch of links, you'll know that, guess what? I already built these 20, but I don't have these new 5 that have already been done. So if you can go ahead and build those additional ones without duplicating the original ones, guess what? You're then going to maximize all of your link efforts, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. So in tomorrow's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the exact tool that I use to keep track of all my existing links, to know whether they're live, whether they're deleted, whether they're indexed, whether they're still helping me rank my sites, and helping me to know what new links should be built. That's going to be exciting, and you're going to see that live when you're on tomorrow's webinar as I set up an entire GMB ranking campaign in less than 30 minutes. So I'll see you there. Make sure you register because the spots are